Hello everyone, I'm Jenny Redacted, and today I'm going to show you how to use the encounter builder to pre-place an encounter and surprise your players. So, we've already spiced up our map with elevation, lighting, these cool, awesome bridges, and now we need an encounter to go with it. So, heading over to the Bestiary tab here, we can see we have both the Bestiary, which has all the monsters in it, but we also have the Encounters tab. You can see here there's some preset encounters from the Delian Tomb, and we can create our own by hitting this plus button icon here. So this pulls up the encounter builder page. We can go ahead and click up here to create the name. We're going to go ahead and call this Goblin Ambush. And we can give ourselves a little description of what the encounter's like. We can set up the parameters for what this encounter is going to be. Let's say this is going to be a 5-hero encounter at level 1 with 2 victories. The victory condition is the heroes outnumber the monsters 2-1. And this is going to reward our party members 2 victories, so we can go ahead and put that there. This encounter budget monitor will go up as we add monsters to our encounter to show us how much of our budget we are using. So first, let's start off with the first initiative group, Group A. Let's go ahead and search up some monsters to add to this. So I'm thinking this encounter is going to be a goblin encounter. So let's go ahead and start off by actually not adding a goblin, but instead getting a bugbear. Let's go ahead and grab a Bugbear Commander, and that will be our kind of like pseudo mini boss monster. They're an elite that's gonna definitely pull some punches, so let's go ahead and throw them in there. Next, we're gonna hit add initiative group to add another group and start putting monsters in this. So we're in a pretty big open map, right? There's a lot of distances and gaps, so I'm gonna want to choose some range monsters. So let's go ahead and look at some goblins. Now, currently there aren't two great search features. It all just kind of goes off by keyword and name, and you kind of have to pull through all of these. However, and I'll link the video in the description, but you can actually use Stall's character builder and import encounters you build install directly into the Codex. DM Hub themselves has put out a video on how to do that, so I've linked that video in the description if that is to your taste. But for now, we're dealing with just making it right here. So let's go ahead and grab some goblin, let's do goblin curse spitters. They have a pretty good ranged attack. Yeah, I have Surlock is range 15, so that's going to definitely help. Let's go ahead and have 2 of them in this group, and let's pair them up with some goblin snipers as well to get that, to continue the range. Let's go ahead and make that a squad of 8 minions. Now let's go ahead and actually, I think this is a really sweet kind of setup here, 2 goblin curse spitters and 8 minions. So let's go ahead and just right click next to the group and hit duplicate. Now we have another one. We can also, rename and call the group. So we can call this mini boss, right? Ranged guys 1, ranged guys 2. And yeah, now we have a pretty standard encounter, right? We're at 40 EV, so we can see here that this is going to be a pretty alright encounter, but, maybe we want it to be a little bit more difficult, but a little bit more difficult than our players expect. So let's go ahead and add reinforcements. So this is a reinforcement wave. It'll be another encounter group, but we can have it only show up on the designated round. So we can have it be every round if there's constant waves, like if your players are fighting off a zombie horde. But in this instance, we're just going to go ahead and have them appear at round 2. And I think a really good enemy for the goblins is actually their skitterlings, which are these little flying gross bug guys. I think in this map with the pits and the bridges, the skitterlings are going to be a pretty potent enemy. So let's go ahead and add a squad of 8 of them in one group, and that pushes us into hard. And I think these minions are probably going to go away pretty far. So let's duplicate that. Let's make 2 reinforcement waves, right? That pushes us to the far end of hard. But because the enemies are coming in waves, we can probably assume that it's probably not going to be that hard. But definitely a suitable challenge for the party. All right, now the encounter is built and all done, but there is another layer to the encounter builder. We can go ahead and pre-place the tokens on the map. We can go ahead and click on Stage on Map underneath each of the encounter groups, and that'll allow us to place the token on the map where we want it. Let's go ahead and put the Bugbear Channeler. Let's assume the deployment zone's down here probably. Let's have the Bugbear Channeler pretty close. Let's put them about maybe right there. And go back to Builder, And we can just keep placing all of those groups here. Let's have the spitters and the snipers start up here, you know, for some high ground. We can see they've kind of already split up into the minions and captains as highlighted by the color coding. Let's see here, is that still up on the ledge? So, not a lot of room up here. It's getting crowded. Let's move the goblin snipers a bit further down. Her spitter there. You can stand here? Yeah, that's good. There we go. So now we have the red squad down here, and then we have this yellow squad up here. Actually, it looks like this, we can tell here by this little pop out of the health bar. We can see that the line is connecting all of these guys, and it has a crown. It looks like it auto did that and gave this curse spitter the, captain role for this squad, but it didn't do it for this curse spitter. So let's go ahead and drag and highlight all of our tokens here. Open up the character panel. Well, actually, well, never mind. I was going to say we can open the character panel, and there should be a button up here, right here. This says Make Captain. But luckily, we just highlight, and the Codex will let you just tell us what this. This is Make Captain. We click that, and now, boom, they are Captain. We can see the line now connects all of these tokens together, so they are fully a squad. So that's where we want them. Let's go ahead and hit back to Builder, and let's place our other range guys group. Let's go ahead and put these guys on the other side of the cavern, right? Their range is pretty big, so they can easily take advantage of this. Probably would be a bit too far to put them way back here. This is maybe where we want our reinforcements to show up, assuming our players kind of push through, get across the bridge, and start engaging. So let's just leave this enemy group on this side of the bridge here. Let's go ahead and split them up, though. So similarly, let's go ahead and put this goblin squad over there. And then this one over here. Probably just kind of like lined up here at the edge of the ravine. So we can see here that this is captained. This one is not. So we do the same thing. Let's highlight Make Captain. Boop. Now they're all connected. Back to Builder. And then let's place our reinforcements. So yeah, let's assume that our heroes are going to kind of go through here. They're going to plunge up. They're going to get some battle here. So let's say maybe kind of like looking at these two crevices in the far part of the map. These are where our reinforcements are coming from. So one group's going to spawn up here. All right. Ooh, look, they've got even little animated wings. Very cute. Let's make this one squad. So you see right now it's kind of treating it as two separate squads. Let's go ahead and drag and highlight and form squad. Now they are one whole squad together. And then let's just spread them out just a tiny bit, just in case someone gets the drop on them. Let's go ahead and put them like that. Now let's put the other ones down. We can put them over here, so they're kind of coming out of this crevice here, flying out like bats. Bat out of hells. Highlight. Let's form that squad so they're all one group. And again, let's spread them out just a tiny bit, just so they're not completely vulnerable when they first appear. But okay, that seems pretty good to me. We can now go back to Builder, and now that we've put everything where we want, we can just hit the button again that says Save Positions and Remove, and it'll now take everything off of the map. So we can then hit Create. That'll be saved, and if you go back to the Encounter tab here, you can see that now Goblin Ambush is there. We can close this window here. Our map is completely empty. Let's go ahead and put our players down, right? So they're coming inside and looking around. Maybe they're even walking. You're letting them kind of go look around like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Like, oh, what's this big old chamber? When suddenly, once you're ready, you can hit spacebar. This will freeze your players so they won't go a little further. They won't be able to move their tokens, so you can make sure that they don't go farther than you expect them to. And then you can simply go to the Encounters tab and hit Start Encounter. This will place all of the monsters and pull you into the Prepare Combat. You can decide if anyone is surprised, and then simply select, turn order, and then hit Draw Steel. So this is a little tiny bit of a bug here. You'll see that it's prompting us to place the tokens down, even though they're already pre-placed. So don't accidentally left-click, or you'll place a million tokens on the board, but just right-click if you see this. That hopefully should be fixed soon. I've put in a bug report for that. Not too big a problem, just a little funny. Then, of course, we can go ahead and hit space to unfreeze our team and have them roll for initiative to begin combat. So, unfortunately, our heroes did not go first, so our monsters are first up. We can select and run the combat as normal, and, assume this whole round plays out. Monsters going back and forth, the goblins benefiting from high ground. It's all handy dandy. But then next round, as well, I'll just go ahead and skip to it, we will see we have a button prompt for the deploy reinforcements. So the reinforcements don't need to pop up immediately. Like, let's say the enemies go, they take a turn. Maybe they aren't going too bad, and you actually decide, hey, maybe my players are getting a little overwhelmed than I expected them to. I will not deploy the reinforcements because I think that might be too much. You can just ignore the button, don't have to click it. But if you do, bam! Now all of our skitterlings are here, and they're added to the initiative. And they're ready to surprise and jump scare your party who might not have expected more enemies. All right. That pretty much sums it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Oh, also, actually, just looking at it, it looks like, you know what? Maybe this was on me. Did I hit the button? Because I think there is a button for... okay, this is my bad. There is actually a button you can click here where it says squads of 4, change that to squads of 8, and it will place them as a squad of 8. So I had that unchecked, which is what placed them as these separate groups. So I have to manually go and just form the squad again. So that was my bad. There is a setting for that. I just missed it. Easy fix. Yeah, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we talk a bit more about objects and make interesting dynamic effects on them. See you then.